say we're going to be looking at Bloodhound through Bloodhound Python. All right, so if we start to go ahead and do a Bloodhound Python, we can do the domain name, all right, which for us is going to be invoked.local for this machine. We can do our username, who we already found, that user, right? We ended up ASREP roasting this user, but we have her password there. The name server, so what IP address does the name server belong to, right? And then the collection method, which is all. Now, one thing with Bloodhound Python is that if you're having problems running it, right? So if we do a Bloodhound Python tac help, you may have to put in like tac gc, all right, which is a global catalog host, okay? And that's going to be the host name, all right? You might have to put in tac DC. You might have to do a DNS TCP. All right. You just got to kind of play around with it depending on what the domain controller actually wants. But for this one, I believe this should work like right here. And it does if we go ahead and we drop a bunch of stuff, right? So if we do an ls-tac-la, we can now see that we have now dropped all these different JSON files. Now, how do we run those, right? Let's go ahead and start up a new window here. And we're going to do now, if you have Kali Linux, this is already built into it. Sudo neo4j console. And we'll go ahead and we'll type in Bloodhound. And if you haven't set up Neo4j console yet, you'll get a little site. I believe it's 7878 or something like that you gotta go to 7474. You have to go here. You have to change the password, things like that, right? Once you're done with that, you'll go ahead and you'll type in Bloodhound. You do have to log in for your first time, but I just have it as save password. And what we're going to do first, we're actually going to clear the database because I don't know when the last time we used this was. So we're going to clear the database. Once that's cleared, we can upload our data. We'll go to home, desktop, this is on invoke, blood, and we can upload all these different JSON files here. Once these JSON files are uploaded, then we can start to look at different things that we can do within Bloodhound, right? So some of the nice stuff about Bloodhound is you do have this little analysis over here. You can go ahead and try to find, let's see here, shortest path to high value targets maybe, if it has any, all right? And you get a bunch of information here, right? This does look extremely overwhelming. But if you start to break it down, right, or start to move it really away from each other, things like that, start to break this all down and everything, you can actually figure out a lot of stuff that's happening around here. All right, so we see some users over here. We have 2 users over here. So really, we want to actually try to figure out how can we become Hildegardi or whatever, and Darisi. Okay, we want to figure out can we become those 2 users. Those are 2 users that we want to look at like right there, right? Those are high privileged users. Okay, we also have this user like right here, which is administrator. Obviously, we want to become them. Okay, we can see different groups in here. What different groups do they write, right? So we obviously have domain admins. We obviously have administrators. Okay, we also have our, let's see here, what group is this? Server operators. We have our print operators, account operators, group policy creators. And we can just kind of start to look through this guy and see, okay, cool. Who do we want to become? Where do we want to move to, right? We go back to analysis. All right, we could do something like source paths for domain users to high value targets or something like that, right? Nothing was returned for that. So we'd have to start to work and see how can we actually do something like that, right? See if there's any Kerber roastable users. Now this, just because sometimes we'll say that there isn't any, but we can see that there are 3 Kerber roastable users on here, which I do have videos on Kerber roast. Okay, we can see a ASREP roastable users, which we do see that, all right? And we can just start to kind of work our way through this thing. We can click on different users and see what are they able to do, right? And see if they're able to actually run anything, what memberships they have. Okay, so this person right here is part of marketing and also domain users. All right, we can look at derivative local admin rights, first degree object control, group delegated object controls. So that means that marketing can do something, right? They're a member of marketing who can do generic all, right owner, and a right DACL on different users. We kind of start to break this down, right? I do have a whole video on Bloodhound. It's like a 15-minute long video, so I'm not going to go too deep into this, but it's kind of like a Bloodhound wave tops. But the more you play around with Bloodhound, the simpler it gets. And when you're looking at something that's huge, like I did one earlier, it had 2,000 users in it on Hack the Box Academy. Once you kind of understand what you're looking for and you understand how to, just kind of just break those little sections off, make your life a lot easier. And that really just comes with utilizing Bloodhound a lot. So hopefully you learned something, and I'll talk to you all later.